Welcome back to Sweat and Iron, everybody. I am Graham, your host, and in this episode, we're going to be getting back into roller derby. That's right, roller derby. We're going all the way down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to talk to my friend Vanessa, who I believe is one of the most badass people I've ever met, talked to, what have you. Even though we haven't really met in person, we've met through the interview, over the internet, through the waves, through whatever. We have gotten together, we have bonded, and we are amazing friends now. Thank you, Vanessa. If I totally misinterpreted that, you'll have to write me and correct me, but I believe you are a badass. Now, getting into the interview, we talk about roller derby. We talk about a little bit more beyond roller derby. We get into how Vanessa is a personal trainer and the type of people she trains. She doesn't just stick to one particular type of person. She gives a reason for that too. And it was very interesting getting to know her background, why she got into personal training, and why she got into roller derby. And for all those out there, we also get into her husband James a little bit. He's an interesting fella, and we get into how he's interesting. He's out there. He's not quite ordinary. He's extraordinary, and he's a great support system for her and roller derby. So, without further ado, enjoy the show. What do you do, by the way?
I'm actually a trainer.
You're a trainer?
I am. I like working with people who are new to the gym, pre and postnatal, weight loss, but now specifically people who struggle with it. So I was a heavy kid all my life, and to this day I still struggle with my weight. But after I had my last kid, my second kid, I had put on the most weight, a lot of weight, and I lost 70 pounds. And once I figured out that it really was about eating right and exercising and not fad diets or pills, that's when I knew I wanted to help people, and that's how I got into it. Mm-hmm. So I don't train athletes. I don't train bodybuilders. I like working with the people who are new and intimidated at the gym. And I also really am starting to enjoy working with the older population.
Oh, so you work with, when you say older population, like what's the age range?
Well, currently I have a client, I'm going to say it, he's my favorite client. His name is Moose, and he is 70 years old, Vietnam veteran. He had 2 hip replacements. So it's a challenge for me, but I enjoy learning and working with him and watching his progress, how he used to have to sit on a high box, and he used to step differently, and now he is taking full steps. He is doing single leg box squats. It's really exciting to see his progress.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
So, to everybody who we haven't said who we're talking to, but we're talking to Vanessa, and Vanessa is in New Mexico or Arizona. Which one?
Albuquerque, right? New Mexico. Mm-hmm.
New Mexico. And as we just found out, she is a trainer. But on the side of training, by the way, I would love to make that its own episode. I would love to talk to you about all of that another time. But this episode, I'm. It's great that we got a nice icebreaker in there. That's something I never knew about you, never asked about, and if you said it at any time, I never read it. I must have missed it. So I think that's really cool. But let's talk about roller derby.
Let's.
I already talked to. By the time your episode is going to air, it'll be a week after I put up the episode I did with Kim. Kim's up in Montana. Kim does roller derby up there. And talking to her, the very first thing I'm supposed to say to you is we're supposed to find a way to bring your teams together. Apparently, when it comes to roller derby, you guys have a different way of the way you guys keep track of the stats as far as the rankings. Mm-hmm. It's based upon. It's very weird how you guys get that all figured out. It's like you can really be bashing the other team, but the ranking only gets affected a certain way based upon the. I don't know. I was having a hard time following that.
Yeah, and I don't know that I could explain it any better. I'm still learning. It is a complicated system. We are ranked, I believe, 110. My league has moved up in rankings, and I did make the travel team again this year. That's pretty exciting. I don't remember where Kim's team is ranked, but yeah, when her coordinator reached out to ours, it didn't work out because of ranking. So I believe they are ranked lower. And so our goal is to move further up in rankings and make it to regionals. And so in order to move up, you need to play within and above your where you're ranked. And then it also depends on the points you get also depends on the spread, the point spread.
Right.
So it wouldn't do us any good to play a team ranked below us. It wouldn't move
totally
us
makes
up.
Sense. Totally makes sense.
And then if we were to lose to a team ranked below us, I'm pretty sure that would drop us.
Oh, okay.
I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Well, let's get into how long you've been doing roller derby. How long you been doing roller derby?
Oh crap! What? 8 years?
8 years, huh? Wow, you've been doing it quite a while. What got you into it?
Well, I grew up on roller skates. I loved skating. I loved watching skating. The Olympics, ice skating. I loved going to the roller rink, and I was aware. I remember my family talking about roller derby back in the day, so I knew of it. So then it made it came back in 2001, and they came out with a reality show called Roller Girls, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with a skater called Sister Mary Jane. She was on the Holy Rollers. I loved it. And I kept talking about, I wanted to do that. And at the time we were still kind of moving around a bit. James had gotten out of the Army and he had taken a position as a traveling tech. And so we ended up here in Albuquerque, and I'm still talking about it. And I found a flyer for a league here in Albuquerque, and he takes me to a game, and there's girls skating around handing out recruitment flyers, and he takes one for me, and I just froze out of fear, like, oh, this could really happen, but I could never make it. And he kept pestering me to go do it. He says, you've been talking about this. Go do it. And he practically pushed me out the door, and he even looked up the information on the league and showed me pictures and videos. And I was just terrified. I was terrified of going out there and showing up and being told that you suck. We don't want you on our team. I was really afraid of that, but I finally went, and I've been with them ever since. Now, it hasn't been easy for me. I'm not an athlete. I never played sports as a kid. I roller skated and rode bikes and climbed trees, but I wasn't an athlete. And The skating part was easy. The aggression and learning the rules and the strategy was a challenge. And it really wasn't until I started practicing with the travel squad that my skill improved. So I feel like I just improved these last few years.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, okay. So how recently you said that you lost how much weight did you say? 70 pounds?
70 pounds, yeah.
70 pounds. And how long ago was that?
Okay. My son was, oh gosh. Okay. So my son was about 6 months old and he just turned 18. So about that long ago. Well, it took me a couple of years. So,
Okay.
I guess it's been about, yeah.
But you lost the weight but you weren't athletic per se.
Right.
So you probably lost the weight through dieting and some exercise, right? And then here you go, and you see roller derby, and you're like, I really want to get into this, but it requires roller skating. So then, what was so walk me through what you did then.
In training for roller derby?
Yeah, for training, yeah.
The cardio part, being able to stay on my skates and attend a 2-3 hour practice, really wasn't the challenge for me. It was the aggression, going in and I'm not a small person. I'm 5'8". I'm about a size 10. I'm not a little girl.
Uh-huh.
And I'm strong. So I should be able to lay a bitch out. And it was, sorry, can I cuss?
Oh, you can say whatever words you want. I just,
Okay, awesome. So that was a challenge, was being aggressive, the physical part. Now, when you start playing roller derby, they teach you how to fall. They teach you how to hit. You have to pass a certain skill set before you're allowed to leave fresh meat practice and go on to league practice. You have to be ready. You can't just put on a pair of skates and be thrown into a scrimmage. It'll kill you. But, the skating part, skating laps, that wasn't difficult. It was the hitting, the strategy.
Yeah, because you guys there's a lot going on that track. And from what Kim told me, you have to fall a certain way. Otherwise, you're going to break your ankle, break your arm, fracture a wrist. You'll break something. So what's the proper way? I mean, this is one of those things where it's probably better to show than to talk about. But what if you were to describe the best way to fall when you're in roller derby? What's the best way to fall?
Well, we are wearing knee pads, wrist guards, elbow pads, a mouth guard, and a helmet. That is the safety gear that you must be wearing if you step out onto the track.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to fall is onto your knees, but it's best if you should always be in a derby stance, which means you're kind of squatted. The lower you are, the better. And that's because if you're going to take a hit, you're going to take that hit better, and you're going to be able to absorb the impact.
Right.
If you're going to fall, you're closer to the ground. For example, Saturday we scrimmaged and I took a hit that I wasn't expecting, and it was an illegal hit. I got hit from the back, so I fell straight down, timber, right on my knees. My knees hurt today. When you fall forward, you've got wrist guards, so you kind of want to slide forward. I'm trying to describe it. It is hard to do without showing, but I think the best way to fall is sliding onto your knees.
Okay, that makes perfect sense, actually. Now, I'm thinking.
I know how to describe it. You know that dance move when they come running and they do a rock star slide?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like that. that's the best way to fall.
I was thinking of the guys. They come sliding out. They got the guitar, and they're just
Yeah.
holding the guitar up, and they're on their knees. That's exactly what I was thinking of on the stage. So, okay, so that's the proper way to slide, fall, land. Whenever, if you need to land, that's how you should try to land.
Correct.
Let's say, what sort of when you're in the gym, what sort of stuff do you do in the gym that helps you out on the track?
Okay, so during off season, I try to focus on strength. During the season, which is now, I do a lot of endurance. So circuit training, hit style, and I get bored easily, so I like to do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to keep my strength up. So what I'm kind of doing right now, so today was burpee club day. I like burpees, and so I started a club.
You started a burpee club?
I started a burpee club. There's only 3 of us. No one else wants to join us, but I started a burpee club. So today it's cardio. Tomorrow will be legs. So I will do my squats. I will do probably 4 to 5 sets, challenge myself, rest in between sets. Then after that, I'm going to do an endurance leg workout. So those are the kind of workouts I'm doing right now. I also try to bring in plyometrics and agility. They're things I think I struggle in, so that's what helps me on the track.
When you do a leg day workout, what sort of leg day stuff do you focus on the most? Do you just annihilate your legs, or do you try to just do? I mean, you're not going for PRs per se. You're doing just, what are you doing? 3 sets, like 10 reps per set type thing, and what sort of workouts?
Oh, let's see. I write all my workouts down. I don't have them on me, but walking, lunges, box jumps. I stay away from machines. I hate machines. Step ups, burpees, medicine ball slams. Oh, sled. I like the sled. I find that helpful. And we've got 2 different styles of sleds here. I don't know their actual names, but one sled, I'm more upright and I'm pushing it forward. Then we have a sled that is small and low to the ground. So then I get down to the ground, almost like a bear crawl position, but I push it from that position. Okay. I like those. Endurance, I go for high reps, like 16, 20 reps, short rest. When you're playing roller derby in an actual game, a jam, and that's what you call it, a jam can be up to 2 minutes. They can be shorter if the jammer calls it off, but if I'm doing something timed, I like to do it. So like say a circuit, so I'm going from one exercise to the other, keeping my heart rate up and killing myself in 2 minutes, and then I rest. When at practice, you're practicing drills and you're taking a lot more breaks, but you're also playing a little bit longer than you are in a game. But I like to, if I'm in a game, I like feeling like I can still play more jams. I typically don't play more than 2 jams at a time. So I want to feel good and strong enough. I've seen people play in scrimmages and they have to stop after a jam. They're too tired, and I don't want to do that. I need to be stronger than that.
So when it comes to roller derby, do you stick to one particular position, or do players usually switch it up, or do you have, because I know that you got jammers, you got blockers, and then there's a pivot.
Yes, and the pivot is a blocker who might become a jammer in a game. So the jammer, if she is having trouble getting through the pack, she wants to pass her helmet cover that we call a panty. She wants to pass that panty off to the pivot. And the pivot can't take it from her. The jammer has to hand it to her. No one else can pick it up. No one else can touch it. So she can be blocking, and then all of a sudden she's got to take that panty and take off. So she's the only one who in a game could play both positions. You do have players who in a game will both block and jam. Currently on my team, for the most part, our blockers are blockers and our jammers are jammers. That's for the travel team. Now on the home team, there's more diversity, and it's the opportunity for players if they're blockers and they want to jam, that's where we encourage them to do it, because playing your home teams, it's for bragging rights. No one's ranked. So although everyone wants to win, it's okay if your team doesn't. So when I started, and I like to say when I was a baby derby girl, when I first started, I saw stars and I wanted to be a jammer. I don't know where along the way, maybe once I finally started improving, I focus on blocking. I'm a blocker, and for the travel team, I'm a blocker. I don't see myself being a jammer for the travel team anytime soon. I could probably do it for my home team, but it's also an opportunity to really hone in on my blocking skills and be better for the travel team. So I block. I'm a blocker.
Okay. So in talking with Kim, I found out that every area has its own league, and leagues are different. There's different sizes to each league. You could have more teams in one league than the other. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, she said that her area, she's very much isolated up there. In Montana, there's not a lot of other teams, other leagues to play. She says she has to do a lot of traveling to move up in rank. She mentioned she had to go to Denver, Seattle, stuff around there. She mentioned that your team is also sort of isolated, but you have a bit more options than she does.
Yeah, because we're closer to Arizona and Texas and Kansas, Utah. Yeah. Here in New Mexico, we have Las Cruces. They're called Crossroads. We've got ourselves, and then in Albuquerque, and in fact, it was a couple of girls from our league that split off and started their own thing, but they're not at our level yet. Mm-hmm. So you've got two leagues in Albuquerque. And then up north, you've got Taos. Oh, and Los Alamos. So there are a few more teams in Albuquerque. Our travel team, so we're going to Dust Devil tournament in two weeks. So that you've got a lot of teams from the area participating there. Then we're going up to Kalamazoo, Michigan for another tournament. And then I think another tournament in Salt Lake City.
Oh, wow.
And then we just added one more game. So Dallas, Assassination City, is coming to us. It's a little harder to get teams to come play us in Albuquerque because we don't have an indoor venue. We practice outdoors on a cement basketball court. Mm-hmm. So because it's the desert, we typically have good weather. But this season, we've had a few cancellations because we had snow. The temperature dropped too much. We practice in the evening during the week. But it's hard. We did, in fact, we had a game 2 seasons ago scheduled with Wichita, Kansas, and they traveled all this way, and sure enough, we had a snowstorm, and it was April, but that happens. We were lucky that we found a venue an hour away, and we drove out there and played in an indoor gym. But yeah, for as long as this league has been around, since 2010, we have struggled with finding a venue, a place to call home.
So, well, one thing that I didn't think about in the last interview I did with Kim was you got all this traveling to do. How do you guys plan for all this traveling? How do you handle the expenses? Do you guys drive? Do you fly? And you got to work. You guys work full time. So
right.
How does this how do you guys do all this?
Well, leagues, for the most part, are skater run. So in my league, if you want to participate, if you want to play, you are required to put in 4 hours of league work, and that can be bout production, that can be flyering, that can be going out and trying to find a sponsor, and then you pay your dues. So everyone pays dues. So from those dues, a small percentage goes to the travel team. So we're fortunate that we've got that help. So when we go to Dust Devil in Tucson, our hotels are paid for by the league. We're on our own paying for, food, of course, anything extra. For trips that are drivable like Tucson, I think we decided as a league that anything about 10, 12 hours is drivable, and we carpool. We all get together and share the expense, the gas, share the expense of the gas. But for trips like Kalamazoo, Michigan, we're flying, and that you're on your own. If we have a good season and have good fundraising, sometimes the league will reimburse us a percentage of our expenses. We've got to turn in receipts. But the money that the league brings in is for the entire league. Only a small percent goes to the travel team. So getting into it, you do need to know and understand that buying your gear is expensive. Being a part of a league makes you time broke. As part of a travel team member, I have to put in at least 20 hours of practice a month. And then you've got to do your league hours. That's an additional 4 hours. And so you've got to manage this, whether you work full-time, part-time, if you're a mom. My last 2 years were a bit of a struggle because I was a very busy band mom. My son is a very busy musician. He's a percussionist. So he had marching band, concert band, jazz band, and then he's in a drum corps. So when you think, okay, it's all over now, no, now it's drum corps. That's in the summer. And of course, I didn't stop there. I had to be the mom that was housing kids from out of state. So,
of course.
So yeah, it's difficult. But if it calls to you like it does to me, like Derby's got to be a part of my life. And sometimes I do get discouraged, like, oh, I'm not doing well. Maybe this should be it for me. I just can't picture myself really stopping anytime soon.
Are there any rewards for playing roller derby other than the self, I did it? Do they have any competitions where you can play for money, or do they ever pay you? Or is that because I'm thinking this is a sport. Is it considered a professional sport that some people get paid based upon how much playtime they put in? Anything like that?
Unfortunately, no. But if anyone out there listening would like to pay us, we'll take it. We need sponsors. You can sponsor my travel team. You can sponsor me. No, we don't get paid. In fact, we pay to be a part of it. I pay $35, $40 a month in dues to be a part of this.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my dues, and depending where you come from and what the expenses are, if we had an indoor venue, I'm sure that our dues would go up. But we don't pay where we practice currently, so it makes it affordable. And Albuquerque's considered a poor city, so no, we don't have that kind of sponsors. I don't think that it's common for girls to get paid. I think there are teams out there that are sponsored very well, like their uniforms and perhaps their traveling expenses. Perhaps they're sponsored that well, but I'm not aware of anyone getting paid. And as far as winning prize money, no, I'm not aware of any tournaments where there's prize money. It's titles, it's rankings, bragging rights.
Bragging rights, yeah.
I really like when I meet someone, or when someone finds out that I play roller derby. and they say something like, "Oh, you're badass." I really like that. Sure, I'm badass. I like that.
So you're saying that okay, so if I was in a roller derby league where I'm at, which is I'm not in the Chicago area, I'm outside the Chicago area, it'll be probably cheaper, just like everything else around here where I live. But if I was in the Chicago area or the suburbs of Chicago and I played in a Chicago league, there's a good chance that my dues would be maybe twice as much as what I'm paying now. Maybe.
I imagine. Windy City Roller Girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine. I can probably look that up if you're curious.
Oh, is that public knowledge?
I don't think it's like listed. Well, perhaps, because when people are looking up, they want to play roller derby, so they look up the Windy City Roller Girls. They all have a website that says this is what it takes to join, the fresh meat team or a boot camp. So it might be, but it's also as easy as emailing them and saying, we're curious, we're doing research. What are your dues? I don't see a problem getting that information.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, here's what it takes to be a member of the Roller City or the Windy City Roller League. Member responsibilities. You have to pay monthly dues, but it doesn't say how much. Attend 2 to 4 practices per week. Wow, that's quite a bit.
Right. Yeah.
Pay for upkeep of equipment. Get lots of bumps and bruises. Have a ton of fun and be around wonderful, supportive, and hardcore athletes. Now, that last part, talking to Kim, it sounds like if you are a roller girl or if you're a roller guy, because she said that the roller derby for guys is slowly taken off as well.
Correct.
That it's not that I want to call it this, and I really apologize to anybody, but this is the only thing I can think of. It's like being part of a sorority. You're in a tight-knit group. You guys are a club.
Yeah.
You get along.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta be a team. I mean, you gotta know how these people think, right? You gotta know how they react. You gotta know a lot about them because you practice with them. You gotta know how it's going to be in the really difficult situations on the track. So I'd imagine that you guys get along really well.
Yeah, for the most part. And something to think about. It's a group of women, so there's always a little problem somewhere, drama.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I personally get along with most of the people. And, if there's a certain personality attitude I don't care for, I kind of stay away from it. I don't like drama. I don't like being around drama. I stay away. When it comes to traveling, I kind of have a group that I like to carpool with and share a hotel room with. But I've shared rooms and carpooled with different people. I feel like I'm easy to get along with, and I'm pretty easygoing. But yeah, you've got some people sometimes that are, really high strung and really sensitive, but yes, we do get along. We do support each other. You spend a lot of time together.
And in the end, you know how to make it work for the team function, at least. I mean, you got to put the drama aside when you're on the track, right? Maybe off the track there's drama, but you got to find a way to separate the two, right?
Yes. And when I first started, my league was very different. It wasn't very well organized, and it was hard and frustrating because being the new girl, I was going to all the practices and all the things, and I was in charge of PR, and I was putting so much time and effort in, but I wouldn't get to play. And it was hard to see a girl who you hardly ever saw at practice, but suddenly it was game day and there she was, and she got all the play time. That was frustrating. That was hard, but it has changed over the years. We are really organized, and now you have to be caught up in your dues. You have to put in your league hours, and you have to attend a certain amount of practice. If you're short an hour, sorry, you don't get to play. And I like that because if a girl never comes to practice and she's in my line, I need to practice with her. I need to know her next move. I need to know how she skates, and she needs to know me. So I'm glad things have changed. It's a lot better now, and it's been that way for a good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
and
that
I think
makes total sense.
Yeah, and probably every league is a little different, but the good leagues who are organized and ranked well, I think probably have those same rules. You have to attend a certain amount of practice, and you have to pay your dues. So,
with the traveling that you do, does how does that fare with the family? You having to go on these trips? I mean, you said you got what are the age of your kids now?
The little one is a senior in high school. He just turned 18 in December.
Okay.
And my older daughter is a senior at the University of New Mexico. She's 22, and she lives at home. You know, she's going to school. We're helping her out. And I've been traveling for a few years now, so it's been all right. It's worked out for me. We know our schedule ahead of time, and I know my kids' schedule, or I should say my son's schedule. I did have to miss a band banquet once, and I hated that because my son lettered for the first time that year. That sucked that I missed it. But it was also my first year traveling, I think. But I make all of my son's things, so it's not like I'm doing all the derby and missing all of his events. It's something.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's something I always discuss. You know, if there's a game coming up and it falls on the same day as a performance or a competition, I talk to him, and he's been pretty awesome. But again, there hasn't been much that I've missed.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like at first you just had to get the hang of it, the juggling, but after doing it for a bit now, sounds like you got it under control, and the kids are old enough now that everybody knows how to communicate. You know, you said it. Everybody knows their schedule ahead of time, and you just balance it out.
Yeah, and the kids, I think, kind of like it when I'm gone because James is the fun dad, and they go out for burgers and milkshakes, and that's not the kind of thing I would do normally.
I was just about the thing I was going to ask was, what about the third kid at home? What about the third kid?
I think he's great. I have seen skaters struggle. It really surprises me. I have seen skaters struggle and leave roller derby because husband doesn't like how much it keeps her away from home. I feel like he's very supportive, and he steps up and helps out. So, you know, I've got my days that I go to practice. I practice on Thursday night and on a Saturday morning. And it's already set. Like, okay, on Thursday evenings, James makes dinner. And at the age that the kids are now, they're stepping up. And like, if James has to work late, you know, we just all communicate. Someone's gonna fix dinner. And sometimes he's come on trips. Sometimes
he's gone with you?
Yeah. You know, of course I'll share a room with my husband and not him and the teammates. We get our own room. And we'll travel together versus in a carpool. So we kind of turn it into a little bit of like time together. And now I'm going to go play roller derby. That's been fun. But it works. He's supportive, and he does strongman competition. So now he's got something.
Yeah, that's cool.
He plays
I need to talk to him about that.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
He plays softball too?
Yeah, rec league, beer league. He's played on a couple of teams. I don't know that he's playing right now because remember he fell down the stairs and fucked up his ankle. But
everybody remembers he fell down the stairs.
I wish I could have posted the video. Poor guy.
Yeah, I'll have to, maybe when I interview him about strongman, I'll be like, so do they have any stair competitions there? Oh wow. So yeah, it sounds like you got it all worked out. It sounds like it's something that you really love. And do you, one thing before we end the interview, I just want to know, do you have any crazy stories of roller derby?
Well, I guess my crazy injury.
What's your crazy injury?
I had a really bad injury on my butt.
Oh.
So we were at practice, and what sucked was that it was 2 days before a tournament in Dallas, and I ran up to chase the jammer, caught up to her. It had been windy, and there was sand on the track. We probably should have swept it because there were skaters sliding out. I don't know how, but I caught wind and I really lifted up off the ground. I guess my skates rolled out from under me. I don't know. It happened so fast. I fell. All 175 pounds of me fell on my left butt cheek, and it hurt so bad. Like I thought I had broken my hip, and my butt cheek swelled so big that, I mean, you could look at me and like one cheek was me, the other cheek was like Nicki Minaj.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was awful. I couldn't, for a month I was in pain. For a month I was miserable. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. There were times where I would just come down to my knees and lean against something and just want to cry because there was no comfortable position. I finally go to the doctor and he explained that he said it was like a degloving injury. So basically that first layer of fascia detached from the muscle. And that's why there was so much swelling and the bruising was so bad. Yeah, it was awful. And it was kind of a weird injury. And, you know, people would say like, but you just fell on your butt. In Derby, everybody falls on their butt. You just fell on your butt. I don't understand it. It was bad.
But you're going at such a fast pace that your ass is creating, your body wants to stay put, but you got the momentum and the force that you hit, you got all that friction. It's just dragging your ass. And it's like, it's two conflicting forces. It's like, so I could also totally understand the degloving thing, which I don't know if it's just me or if other people have the same problem, but I hear degloving and I'm just like, huh.
Yeah, because I've seen pictures. Yeah. Oh, it's awful.
And I work in a lab.
But yeah, I'm always bruised. I don't think I'm ever gonna win a sexy legs contest. There was a time where I was in the grocery store and I had kinesio tape on my arm. I don't remember what that was from. And I was with James, and I think, you know, if you're on our Takens group, you kind of know James is a sarcastic fucker and just silly. And if you don't know him, you don't know that he's playing. But the cashier looks at me and she asked me something, and James said something about, like, you know, you don't talk to her, you talk to me. He was playing. She really thought, she thought that I was a domestic abuse victim. Now, to just say that cashier and I were friends, and she has come to roller derby games. But, you know, I stopped and looked at myself, and I looked at how she was looking at me and at James, and I went, oh, no, it's not like that. I can't get that, I swear.
There's going to be so many people listening to this, and they're going to be like, so, James, I think we need to talk about your domestic lifestyle. Yeah, that's one thing. He's
on my face, and he was pissed. He's like, oh, we have to go to that work function. Everyone's going to think I hit you. Bitch, no one's going to think you hit me. Let's go. We're fine.
It's so funny. He you're right, though. He is so sarcastic that when he says things, I find myself turning to Connie and saying, okay, he said this. Is this just James being James? And she's like, yeah, just don't pay attention.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah. So, I mean, when I first got to talking to him, I always took him seriously. I was thinking he really wanted an argument, but he's just doing it to fuck with you.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh. What's it like to be married to that 24/7?
I have learned to ignore it and just turn around and walk away. I'm not playing with you right now, James. I'm not playing. I'm not giving in.
Oh, so that explains all your facial expressions when he's taking photos.
Probably, yeah.
It really does. You have that look of, I'm not doing this right now. What are you doing? Or, bitch, please get out of here. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
He's crazy. He's a piece of work.
He is crazy. Well, on that note, you know what? I've got some chicken downstairs waiting for me, and I'm sure that you want to get on your drive to go home, do whatever you need to do for the remainder of the night. But you know what I really want to do now, after I got to know a little bit more about you in the beginning of this interview? I would love to have another interview with you some other time and talk more about your personal training, experiences you've had, because I just have a whole bunch of questions about that. So if you want, maybe would you be up for that?
I think so, possibly, yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll talk about it some other time. So for everybody else out there, I hope you guys had fun, and you keep setting your goals and you keep at it.